All right, good morning, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss. Welcome to the first live stream of the season. It was an impromptu live stream. I was planning to do it yesterday, but some things came up, so wanted to get on here today, kind of just to kick off the season in terms of streaming, and go over some various odds and ends in the fantasy football world. As we have games underway. The Hall of Fame game was last week, and preseason is pretty much fully underway now. We're going to get the rest of the league playing their inaugural preseason game this weekend as well. A lot to get over. I wanted to look at each position again and give you my latest thoughts and on values and things of that nature. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And most of you are going to watch this later anyway, because like I said, I just decided to do this live stream about a half an hour ago, put up the link. So I'm sure most of you watch this later. But again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Going to try to add some more Q&A sessions this year. I know we did that last year where we had, I dedicated a stream once a week to just taking questions and whatnot. So I'm going to do that as well. That'll be part of the rotation. And then, of course, any breaking news that happens during the week, and we're still going to continue to do those short videos and whatnot. And then, of course, on Football Sunday, that's where we really stand out in the fantasy football community, because again, I'm going to be doing those instant injury analysis videos that I do every year. Not simply just putting tweets out there, oh, so-and-so went down. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, who's next in line, how serious is it, and then I'm going to update it as we go along. Because a lot of times, a player go into lieutenant and then they'll come back a couple of minutes later. So I'm going to, update that as we go along as well. So I'm going to touch on all those things going forward. So, for me, I have right now I'm in 2 leagues. It might be a 3rd league. My drafts are not for another couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of like fine-tuning things, as far as, how I'm ranking players, who's where I'm going to go to first, what I'm going to emphasize more than the others. That's what I'm really going to be honing in on over the next couple of weeks. And like I said to you from the very beginning, once the last season was put to bed into this season, for me, it's all about touchdown potential and reinforcing the running back position. Because last year really was a running back, heavy season with Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and James Cook and Bucky Irvin coming out of the blue and Bijan Robinson. Like, it was the year of the running back. Now, a lot of these guys stayed healthy, which, is not something that has happened over the last couple of years. So that went into it as well. But for me, like I said, in the one league that I'm in, the Friends and Family League, I have the number 2 pick. I'm probably going to end up with Bijan Robinson with the number 2 pick, and I'm going to be perfectly fine with that. Or I'll just take, if Jamar Chase does fall to me at the number 2 spot, I would take him and then just go running back rounds 2 and 3. Hey, boss, ready for season 4? Which you got a quick question. What, season 4 already? Wow, time flies. Think it's a good idea to take Jamar Chase over Saquon? Oh, absolutely. Listen, I've been consistent about my hesitancy on Saquon Barkley from the moment last season ended. This is a guy who's got a very long, checkered injury history. He's coming off a massive, massive workload all the way through the Super Bowl, over 400 touches, which is astronomical for somebody who can't ever really stay healthy. Now, he did stay healthy last year, no doubt about it. But historically speaking, backs that are coming off such a heavy workload, they quote unquote bounce, meaning that their numbers either decline or they get injured. And that's what I expect to happen for Barkley this year. I don't see him staying completely healthy. And it just mirrors what Christian McCaffrey was facing prior to 2024, when he was coming off such an insane workload that, he was never healthy for any juncture of last season. And you're welcome, Ray. He was never healthy for any juncture of last season. So that's what Barkley's looking at this year. So be very, very careful there. Bobby J, number 1 overall pick, deciding between Bijan or Lamb. I like the running back depth with handcuffs, so I take Bijan. I don't know if I'm comfortable with a Higgins or JSN. Bobby, I'm with Bijan Robinson there. And this is coming from somebody who took CeeDee Lamb with the number 2 pick last year. And it didn't exactly work out. He got hurt. His quarterback got hurt. So I have some fresh scars in terms of investing in CeeDee Lamb early last year. No question he's going to be a stud as long as Dak Prescott stays healthy. But, they brought in George Pickens. That's going to take at least some of the targets away from CeeDee Lamb. And he's at the mercy of Prescott's health, which has been iffy, 3 of the last 6 years. So I'm all Bijan Robinson on this one. The only person I have ranked ahead of him is Ja'Marr Chase. So, as far, and I've talked about this, this week, Bobby, there's, JSN or T. Higgins. It's, it doesn't look great as your number 1 wide receiver, but you could even get Mike Evans, which would be fine as your number 1 wideout. But there are wide receiver ones that you can get, or even Devontae Adams, he's going to be really good this year. Terry McLaurin, once he gets his contract straightened out. There's wide receiver ones, potential wide receiver ones like DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, that you could get in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So I wouldn't stress too much over that. I still would go Bijan Robinson there for sure. I think that's clearly the way to go. I think he's going to have a monster season. He's been very durable. He's made every start his first 2 years in the league. So I'm team Bijan all the way. I don't think there's any question that's the choice you make there. Now, I wanted to update my top 12. Somebody had asked me about this the other day. Got to pull out the list here, the master list of players, so I can give you my top 12 for this season. Now, obviously, really my number, if I had the top pick, I probably still would go Ja'Marr Chase. I have him slightly ahead of Bijan Robinson, but Bijan Robinson is my number 2 guy. And number 3 is Justin Jefferson. I think those are my solidified top 3, no question about it. Derrick Henry, he's proven himself to be a freak athletically, just doesn't ever seem to get old. And he, might be one of those guys like Curtis Martin who just goes all the way to the finish line as an ace running back. So if I had the opportunity to take him, early in the 2nd round, I think I definitely would. But getting back to my top 12, it's Chase, Bijan Robinson, and really those 2 are interchangeable in my opinion. And then Justin Jefferson, I have at number 3. Now, number 4, I do have Saquon Barkley. Now, that's under the notion that Barkley's going to stay healthy, all right? The guy is an unbelievable athlete. But there are a lot of red flags here, folks. He doesn't, and it's not an indictment on him as a receiver. He doesn't catch the ball much in this offense. Again, mobile quarterbacks don't throw it to the running backs. You got a tush-push superstar at quarterback who's taken 12 to 15 touchdowns around the goal line every year. That's going to take some away from Barkley. And then you have the durability question mark about Barkley as well. So I have him clearly 4th behind those 3 guys. That's I have to judge him on his talent and potential if he's healthy, and that's why I have him at number 4. But I'd be very nervous taking him at number 4. Number 5, I have Jahmyr Gibbs. And again, David Montgomery is there. It's not ideal. There's some hesitancy there, but Jahmyr Gibbs was so unbelievable. He might have been the best player on a per-touch basis last season, Jahmyr Gibbs. And in that offense, I know they got a new offense coordinator. That offensive line remains intact. That's a great unit there for sure. So I would have I have him at number 5, and I have Ashton Jeanty at number 6. Listen, we have seen this multiple times with Saquon, with Bijan Robinson. Guys that are drafted very early at the running back position tend to hit the ground running, pardon the pun, and are top 5, 6, 7 guys at the position. And I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be that guy. He can run it. He can catch it. He's got a head coach, Pete Carroll, who loves to run the football. It's an improving offensive line. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to eat no matter what. And he's my number 6 guy on the season. 7, I do have CeeDee Lamb. All right. And 8, I have Malik Neighbors. So I'm fine with either one of them. If you want to flip them, that's okay. But I think that those 2 guys are in that next grouping there at 7 and 8. And then 9, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think you need to listen. I'm a huge Amon-Ra guy. But I think we need to realize, like, especially the second half of last year, Jameson Williams was becoming a thing, and they were reintroducing Sam Laporta after a quiet first half, that it was taking targets and touches away from Amon-Ra. You still have Jahmyr Gibbs. You still have David Montgomery. You have a new offense coordinator. There's a lot of targets that have to be, moved around among the three top guys. And then you have still a run-heavy offense with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think Amon-Ra, to me, this year is behind Lamb. He's behind Neighbors, whereas last year I would have put him, ahead of those guys. So I have Amon-Ra at 9. At 10, Nico Collins. Now, I put that poll up because I think all of these guys are pretty much, and they each have a vote. I think all those guys are pretty much almost interchangeable. I think Nico Collins is, with no Stephon Diggs, with no Tank Dell, they improved the offensive line. I think Nico Collins is going to feast. On a per-game basis, he was as good as any wideout outside of Jamar Chase last year. So, to me, Nico Collins is going to have a monster season. I don't think there's any question. Now, it is annoying he misses time every year. He's not the most durable guy. Malik Neighbors, too, for that matter. He's been, banged up going back to college. He's still got a lingering toe injury that's eventually going to need surgery. But once Gene T is off the board, you go Lamb, you go Neighbors, 7 and 8, and then I have Amon-Ra at 9 and Nico Collins at 10. Now, as far as 11 and 12, I'm sure there's going to be divergence there, but I have Brian Thomas at number 11. And at 12, you could put Drake London. You could put A.J. Brown. That might be a little high for A.J. You could put Derrick Henry. All right, I'd be fine with any of those guys. Hell, I really like Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown, who's right now going as late, as the early third round, is going to be an absolute stud this year. I almost wish my drafts were this week so I can, make sure I get Chase Brown in all my leagues, because I think he's going to continue to climb as we go through the summer here. All right, so that's my updated top 12. All right, that's how I'm looking at the top 12 guys there. And I still plan on going value at tight end and going value at quarterback. I've never actually done this. Well, I can't remember the last time I did this, but I'm gonna do it at least on one of my teams this year. Fill out all 3 wide receiver spots and get 3 running backs before I even address quarterback and tight end. I want to see how this goes. Because again, quarterback this year, I was in 3 leagues last year. The person who had Josh Allen, 2 of those leagues didn't make the playoffs. One of them they did, and they were knocked out in the first round. So the payoff for Josh Allen as the top pick when you had to use a third-round pick for him wasn't great. So for me, it's all about value at quarterback. You got Drake May. You got Caleb Williams. You got even Kyler Murray, who's slipping a little bit in drafts. You have Justin Fields, Bo Nix. These are all guys that would surprise nobody if they finish top 10. Even C.J. Stroud, man, he really fell. Everybody, he was the 5th quarterback off the board last year, C.J. Stroud, and now nobody wants him. So I think you go value at quarterback. Like I said, I love Drake May. I like Justin Fields, although he's not playing very well. We'll get to that this summer. Bo Nix, I really like. At tight end, I like Mark Andrews. I like Kittle. I'm more open to, maybe 4th round taking Kittle. I think Sam Laporta, I like him again now that his price has come down. I think Mark Andrews looks good this year with Isaiah Likely now hurt. I don't think Likely's starting the season on time, and he's probably going to take him a couple of weeks to get up to speed. David Njoku gets his targets every year. Nobody ever wants him. Evan Engram, I really like Evan Engram in his offense. We've seen what Sean Payton can do with the tight end position with Jimmy Graham. I think Evan Engram is going to have a huge year. Chris Olave, the best value this year? I don't know about that, Sorrell. I do like Chris Olave, the player. Man, I just hate the offense. That's the problem. Olave, you put Olave on 15 different teams, he's a top 12 guy. But in New Orleans, it's gonna be trouble. And if he gets another concussion, he's sort of like the wide receiver version of Tua Tagovailoa. All these concussions these guys have had, that is concerning for me. So, that's I don't know. A classic case of love the player, just hate the offense. Chase Brown to turn on also thought. Okay, so Bobby, I see what you're saying there. CeeDee Lamb at number one. I still think, at number one, I like Jamar Chase better than him, and I like Justin Jefferson better than Lamb. So I would take those guys at number one. I don't know if you mentioned if it was a keeper league or not. JSN, I think, is going to be good. He was very good the second half of last year. I do like JSN. I think he really started, and people had said, college football analysts, draft gurus had said he was the best receiver on that Ohio State team with Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Talking about JSN. And boy, what a wide receiver factory Ohio State has become. I think that JSN started to show that the second half of last year. DK Metcalf is out of the way. Tyler Lockett is out of the way. There's really not much competition. I mean, Cooper Kupp couldn't do anything. He couldn't even get out of his own way last year, the second half of the season. He looked shot to me. I'm shocked that Seattle gave him the money that they did. You have Sam Darnold, who is a gunslinging quarterback. He's going to throw it up there. He's turnovers be damned. So I think it's a good fit. Now, JSN, he definitely could put up wide receiver one numbers. So that's absolutely within the realm of possibility for his impact this season from fantasy. But I don't, I wouldn't be too comfortable having him as my top wide receiver. Cam Ward, rookie of the year. Yeah, that could happen. And that's why I like Calvin Ridley, folks. Don't sleep on Calvin Ridley. All right. Calvin Ridley is still young enough. Let me pull up his numbers here. Last year, 64 catches, but he had 120 targets. All right. That shows you how bad the quarterback play was. He did hit 1,000 yards, 1,017 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns the year before with Jacksonville. I think Calvin Ridley, he's 30 years old. He's getting up there, but he's got a quarterback now that can get him the football all over the field. So I think Calvin Ridley looks like a really good value that I'm going to try to get as my wide receiver 3 this year. I've come around on a lot of guys this year, like George Kittle's another one, guys that I usually don't have that I tend to stay away from. Kyron Williams, if I can get him in, at the end of the second round in my one league where I have the second pick. I've come around on him as well. And that's why every year you got to keep an open mind on certain players. Based on the situation, who's their quarterback, what's the surrounding offense look like? The number one guy in the offense, stuff like that. And that's why I really like the value of some of these players this year that I don't historically go after. And Calvin Ridley is one of them. I really like the situation for Calvin Ridley. All right. Chase Brown. I know we mentioned Chase Brown. I think he is just sitting on a absolutely monstrous season. They got rid of Zach Moss. They brought in Samaje Perine, big deal. He's going to catch the ball a little bit, on third down, but I don't think there's anything there, that threatens him. Justin Jefferson, I have him number 3. He's proven himself to be quarterback proof. So these are all the guys that I'm really going to be focusing on this year. But at the same time, we need to be leery of those radioactive players this year against, like, Saquon Barkley coming off that workload, Christian McCaffrey. God, that could go either way again. Ricky Pearsall, I can see that. That's why I really like George Kittle this year, though. Because they have Brandon Ayuk's coming back from a serious injury. One of the principles I always have in fantasy football is I don't take guys who are coming off serious injury that they're going to have to be eased into the season. It just, they never seem to supply the value you expect. You're like, oh, wow, I can get Brandon Ayuk really cheap. Coming off such a serious injury, it's a dicey investment. So that's why George Kittle to me looks like a great investment, because he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. He's going to be the number one focal point in this passing offense. And it's a modest passing offense, let's face it. The 49ers run the ball as much as anybody. Like the Baltimore Ravens, same thing. And that's why with Lamar Jackson, you got to be careful with Lamar Jackson, because his touchdown rate was absolutely through the roof. outlier territory. They were the most run-heavy offense in the league last year. So if you invest in Lamar Jackson thinking he's going to throw another 41 touchdowns, be careful. All right? Because his touchdown percentage was way above what he normally does or produces. So I think Josh Allen is obvious. To me, I have him ranked ahead of Lamar Jackson. I have Jaden Daniels ranked ahead of Lamar Jackson. I have Jackson at number 3. Then there's a little bit of a gap to my next grouping of Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes. All right. And there's another gap where and I would take Joe Burrow ahead of Pat Mahomes. I would even consider Joe Burrow ahead of Jalen Hurts because, Jalen Hurts is a small quarterback. He tends to get nicked up as well. I know he screwed me in one league and a bunch of other owners when he got that concussion late in the season. All right. Took him out of the fantasy football playoffs, the second, the first round, the second round. But, to me, quarterback this year is full of values. And Justin Fields, I wanted to talk about him. So I'm in New York. So we get all the information on the local teams, what's going on there. The Jets had their green-white scrimmage yesterday where the defensive players faced the offense in a game-like setting. And Justin Fields was 2 for 10 passing. 2 for 10. He held on to the ball way too long. He took some sacks. He threw behind receivers. Like Aaron Glenn wasn't happy with Justin Fields' performance. And this is the continuation of what's been Justin Fields' career. Breathtaking athlete. Potential fantasy monster, which he was in Chicago that one year when he ran for almost 1,200 yards. But he doesn't throw the ball well. He doesn't have anticipation. He holds it too long. His accuracy is shaky. And that doesn't seem to be changing. I mean, he was 2 for 10 yesterday. And Glenn, like I said, wasn't happy. They have Garrett Wilson and really nothing else. Josh Reynolds and Allen Lazard, Jeremy Ruckert. I mean, big deal. Mason Graham, as a rookie tight end, I would pay attention to because the Jets really have nobody else besides Garrett Wilson. And Mason Graham did some nice things in the passing game in college. But Justin Fields, I do like him as a sleeper. But if you're going to draft him, you have to back him up with somebody that you can move in and out, like a Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert. Brock Purdy's never my thing, but Caleb Williams. I know Chicago's never had a 4,000-yard passer. I think that changes this year. Caleb Williams held the ball too long last year, but he ran for almost 500 yards. He threw for 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, which is not a terrible ratio for a rookie. You talk about weapons. You have an emerging Rome Odunze, who's going to be on all my teams this year. I already told you that. I love the value of Rome Odunze. You have DJ Moore, who's a quiet wide receiver 1. You have the rookie tight end, Cole Kmet, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. You have a lot of weapons here. So I like Caleb Williams. And so if you bypass those top guys, and I think it's been proven now that if you use a 3rd-round pick on a quarterback, it's just not a good draft strategy. Just like using a 2nd-round pick on Brock Bowers or Trey McBride. Those guys are going to have to average 18 PPR points a game, which is asking a lot for a tight end. So you come back later and get value there. All right. I posted that video last week. I don't know if you saw it. If you haven't, go find it. Where I took the top 12 scores in PPR from last year and showed you what the point differential was from the number 1 guy to the number 12 guy, and why drafting a tight end in the 2nd round is just foolish. Sure, we would all love Brock Bowers. We would all love Trey McBride. Looks great. 100 catches, right? It just, in the long run, it's not the right move. I'm going Evan Ingram. I'm going to go Sam Laporte or George Kittle in round 4. And that's the thing. I'm going to be very disciplined on this. I'm going to wait for the 4th round. And if Kittle or Laporte is there for me in the 4th round, I will strike. If not, it's going to be Evan Ingram in round 7 or 6, whatever he might fall to. And a lot of people are going to be leery of him. So That's how I'm playing with the tight end position. I want all three running backs filled, and I'm using a running back in the flex spot. So we're going to see 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers before I even look at quarterback. And like I said, I'll keep an open mind on the tight end in round 4. Yeah, Rome Odunze is definitely going to eat. This guy is so talented. He was right there as one of the most heavily targeted receivers in the red zone last year. All right? Talking about Rome Odunze. He's got a quarterback that can get him the ball all over the field. He's got the right coach now in Ben Johnson with his offensive acumen. DJ Moore is going to be great again. You know, if you choose to really wait on your tight end, you know, you could take one of the 2 rookies, you know, Colston Loveland with the Bears. You can go Tyler Warren for Indianapolis. I mean, Indianapolis with the quarterback mess, you know, that is the situation in Indianapolis. I'm a little leery on Tyler Warren, but Colston Loveland, you know, Mason Taylor with the Jets, these guys are going to have an opportunity to put forth some good numbers as rookies. And we've seen that the last couple of years where rookie tight ends can also hit the ground running. I want nothing to do with Jonnu Smith this time around, even though I struck gold with him last year. Him and Pat Freiermuth, I'm not interested. TJ Hawkinson, don't you get the feeling with TJ Hawkinson, you're kind of like done with him? You know, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but man, I feel like he's now becoming sort of a boring veteran. He's just frustrating. He doesn't score a lot. He gets hurt a lot. You know, give me David Njoku. How about David Njoku, right? I know the quarterback situation is shitty, but the last 3 years, 80 targets in 14 games. He had 123 targets in 2023, 97 in only 11 games last year. His receptions last 3 years, 58, 81, and 64. All right. He's had 15 touchdowns the last 3 seasons. He gets the targets. Whoever's playing quarterback, David Njoku is going to get the targets. You know, I would like Tucker Kraft more if the Packers didn't spread it around and they brought in, you know, the rookie wide out there. Zach Ertz. Guys, Zach Ertz last year caught over 60 passes. He scored 7 touchdowns. Nobody talks about that. I do like TreVeyon Henderson. I totally agree with you. I'm totally in on TreVeyon Henderson. You know, listen, there's a lot to like with these rookie running backs this year. Omarion Hampton, the more we see that Najee Harris is still out from the fireworks incident, the more I bump up Omarion Hampton. You know, we all know about Ashton Jeanty, TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey. I like both of these guys. I think RJ Harvey, you know, they do have J.K. Dobbins, which pisses me off a little bit. Like J.K. Dobbins just always seems to now be that guy who caps the potential of the young running upstart running back. All right. You know, Sean Payton personally drafted RJ Harvey, so he wanted him. So RJ Harvey is going to have that opportunity, I think. Omarion Hampton, he's a thumper. He could also catch the ball. So I think he's got an opportunity. TreVeyon Henderson, listen, there's not a lot of there's not much for him to have to fight through with Ramondre Stevenson, who can't hold on to the football before TreVeyon Henderson can take over that gig outright. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about, the Jets, this scrimmage yesterday. So Isaiah Davis lit things up. He's the 3rd string running back. Aaron Glenn made it a point to talk about Isaiah Davis, who's Austin Eckler 2.0. He's their 3rd string running back. Braylon Allen has lit things up. He's been great all training camp. Breece Hall had a good game. He scored a touchdown. They're going to use all 3 of these guys. I respect Breece Hall as a player. His potential in fantasy is always astronomical, but they're using all 3 of these backs. Not to mention Justin Fields is going to keep the ball around the goal line as well at a high rate. So do not draft Breece Hall. It's going to be frustrating. They're using Braylon Allen around the goal line, so Hall's touchdown potential is already being chopped down. They've been using Isaiah Davis on 3rd down. Justin Fields has been keeping the ball. So Breece Hall is a complete no-go for me. And again, it's not an indictment on him, although he didn't really run tough last year. It's more of an indictment on they're using 3 backs. And then even look at the Giants. Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scatterbo, they've been using Devin Singletary in training camp. Devin Singletary is a favorite of this coaching staff going back to Buffalo. So Tyrone Tracy looks like a sleeper. They love Scatterbo, the rookie from Arizona State. Yeah, Rain, you can't touch Breece Hall. Absolutely not. Both New York running back situations, I'm looking to avoid altogether. I'm looking to avoid the Buffalo situation. James Cook, listen, I have a bridge to sell you if you think he's going to replicate 16 touchdowns. He only got 207 carries last year. So he was very touchdown dependent. 38 targets, 32 receptions. Listen, they're using three backs. Ray Davis, who I think could actually wind up being the best player out of the three. Ty Johnson carved out a role. Josh Allen keeps the ball around the goal line. I'm avoiding the Buffalo situation as well. I don't like Jonathan Taylor again. I never liked Jonathan Taylor. He doesn't catch the ball. Listen, 1,400 yards last year. God bless him. He did great. He has not played a complete season in the last 3 years, 11, 10, and 14 games. He's got a mess of a situation at quarterback. If Anthony Richardson's the quarterback, he's going to steal touchdowns. He doesn't catch the ball. 28, 19, and 18 receptions each of the last 3 years. I'm out on Jonathan Taylor. Devin Achane, great fucking player. But his numbers were cut in half when Tua was out. Very, very, very tied to his quarterback. Listen, if something happens to Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins comes in, Bijan's going to be fine. If something happens to Jalen Hurts, Barkley's going to be fine. If something happens to Tua, Devin Achane is not going to be fine. Be very careful here. I'm in a minority on this. I had him last year. He was unbelievable. Bucky Irving scares me a little bit. He's only 5'10", 194. Are they really going to give him lion's share carries? I don't think so. You have Rachaad White who can catch the ball. You have the kid from Syracuse who did a nice job last year for them as well on a per-touch basis. Bucky Irving, I'm not 100% comfortable with. I love Chase Brown. I like Kyren Williams. I like Chuba Hubbard. Alvin Kamara, man, he's getting a lot of touches. He's catching the ball like crazy. He's had over 80 targets each of the last 2 years. He's tempting, but that mess of a team, I'm avoiding it. Kenneth Walker, I'm done with this guy. Doesn't stay healthy. He's got a guy behind him who might be just as good as him. Give me James Conner again. James Conner, folks. I mean, he's 4.6 per carry last year, 5 the year before. He's still incredibly productive. He's going to get hurt. It's going to happen, but you can get him as a flex. I'm out on Aaron Jones, finally. You're probably saying, oh, finally, he's not going to talk about Aaron Jones anymore. Yes. Listen, Jones was good last year, but he hardly scored. Kevin O'Connell's always throwing it around the red zone. And now they brought in Jordan Mason. Jones struggled in short yardage. They have Jordan Mason now. Don't forget about DeAndre Swift. I like him. I think Caleb Johnson could really take off in Pittsburgh. And that's the thing, too. Caleb Johnson's not getting the attention he should. RJ Harvey, Amarian Hampton, obviously Gene T, they're getting the lion's share of attention. Caleb Johnson was a really good player on a bad team last year in college. So those are my guys. I'm avoiding the Jacksonville situation. What a shithole that is at running back. I'm not taking Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not taking Javonte Williams again, man. But they say Jadon Blue is starting to get run now. So I'm going to keep it open with Jadon Blue. So I'm going to be very strict on my running backs this year. Hence, I'll probably have 2 running backs by the end of the 3rd round. 1 wide receiver, 2 running backs. That's how I'm probably going to play. And this is a big change for me, but I went 0 for 3 last year. It's my first year without a title in 5 years last year. And what a disaster. It took me a while to get over. I was so pissed how bad it went for me at the end last year. And I had the first round bye in every league I was in. And I came home with nothing. So when you get humbled like that, it's time to change things up. And that's what I'm going to be doing this year. Re-emphasizing the running back position. And let me know what you guys want more of going forward, in terms of the channel. Always post your comments, ask your questions. I'll always get back to you within 24 hours, most of the time. I answer 90% of the questions within 24 hours. So if you post under the video, I still have my X account. You can follow me there. I always share the videos on X as well. I'm going to try to use X a little bit more this year. It's just such a cesspool on there, though. It's not good for anybody's mental health to be on X. But it is a good way to reach out again, and you can ask me questions on that again. And of course, Sunday, going to do the weather videos. Thank you, Rain. I really appreciate it, man. I really, the lives are coming back. Last year, I had to scale back on that because I was very, very busy with my job and everything. So this year, that's not going to be an issue. So I'm going to be able to do more live streams like I did today. So, and there's going to be a lot of times too where I just want to come on and chat. I'll be sitting in my car and I'm like, you know what? Let me go live. So always have that notification bell hit because I can just pop on at any moment. All right. So make sure you have that hit as well, because that'll be something I'm going to be doing fairly often this year. Probably do a stream either. I like to do the Wednesday stream when the first injury report comes out, so I'll probably do that. And then I want to do Saturday instead of Friday this year. So I'm going to definitely try to do that every week as well on a Saturday. And then Sunday when the 11:30 Eastern time injury report comes out, I'm going to be doing the live stream then as well. So these are all things that I'm going to be focusing on in terms of the weekly schedule and whatnot. So, there's been a lot of, injuries already this year. We talked about Isaiah Likely. The preseason is just way too long. I think we need to just stop at these preseason games. I mean, I get it. You need to look. If you want to have 1 or 2 games, fine. I know you want to round out the roster, look at these young guys, get them into a setting before the season starts. I get it. But I think the preseason is just way too long. We're still 5 weeks away. It seems like a long time. Hopefully it'll be here before you know it. But I'm ready to get going. Now, as far as drafts are concerned, people, it's too early to draft in the beginning of August. Well, they don't play these guys in preseason anymore. So I think it's less of a concern now for guys getting hurt in preseason games because they don't play. I mean, I don't think Saquon Barkley has played a preseason game in like 3 years. They basically hold out these guys entirely from the preseason, which I would do too as a coach. There's no reason for guys to be exposed to any unnecessary hits, getting hurt, all that stuff. So I totally get that, But like I said, the season will be here before you know it. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's going to be great. So we'll focus in on that. But anyway, so I'm going to end the stream, guys. I appreciate you coming in, like always. Most of you, like I said, are going to watch this on replay because I just decided to come on this morning. But hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. And I will chat with all of you soon. Keep the questions coming and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We will chat soon, guys. Take care.